We could do that. We could do that with any bill.
So yes, you could. So we have, what your report usually says is, we recommend that the bill passes, as it is recommended by the Committee on Health and Welfare. This one is, you will have to explain it on the floor, because I'm not sure we've done it, but you're gonna recommend that the bill favorably, that they recommend the bill as is introduced, or as without the report of the Committee on Health and Welfare.
So what's the problem, just to know, with us amending their amendment back to the original?
It's really, you're just striking their report. I mean, if you wanted to say you do not, in your report, we do not support the health and welfare amendment, it's the same issue. Otherwise, you're really voting on it twice. So let's say if you vote on it first and you lose, so the amendments are, Bill, put money in, take money out. This one loses.
You always do the second, the appropriation.
We can go this way.
We go either way.
So the rule is that you take the committee that was first referred to as the first question. And sometimes when you have a bill that comes out of this committee, if you are amending the report of the Committee on Health and Welfare, then we are take that question here. You may remember ag and natural resources sometimes fought it out. Sometimes their reports didn't amend each other's. They were like a strike all here and a strike all here. Right. When we're with those, we would take this one first and then this one. Okay. And so you have some options, but to go and say they're putting it in and you're taking it out, what you're really doing, if you win, you're back to the original.
You're suggesting the same as last council, which was just amend. We're not doing an amendment. We're just reporting favorably as introduced.
Yeah, I mean that will work.
And we'll explain.
And then you're going to stand up and you're going to, I believe, say that the Committee on Appropriations received the bill. The underlying bill did this. The Health and Welfare Committee's proposal of amendment says that they'd like to put money into it. We do not support that on a 7-0 vote, and we recommend that you vote against the Health and Welfare report. And then they can vote. When that's done, it'll depend on Health and Welfare. They can sometimes withdraw their report.
That's what I thought would be cleaner, is if they just withdrew their report and with the intention that what this committee planned on doing is including the funding within the budget.
I mean, but the hard part really is now that the bill's in here, to vote this out, you need some kind of report from this committee.
Well, that part was clear.
Yeah, so it's thinking about if we withdraw our proposal amendment, the Committee on Health and Welfare will also be making recommendations to this committee to please support the bill, $25,000. The appropriations.
And you still want to, I think you still want to keep the report in there because somebody from Health and Welfare wants to stand up and explain the bill, what you looked at, who your witnesses are, why it's a very important bill for whatever reasons. Yeah. If you completely withdraw it and try to take it out, then nobody can report the bill. And so you want to make sure you keep that report there. You would probably say we do the original bill. After both the reports are done is when Health and Welfare would withdraw, and then the question will go back to, shall the bill be read a third time?
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Well, that works. That's good. Thank you.
It would be much better to do it that way because, you know, nobody is opposed to putting the money in or opposed to what Health and Welfare is trying to do. It's just if we start putting one in over the other, we end up, where do we, you know, we either take them all out or we don't.
We have a gray area of de minimis amounts.
In the Senate Secretary's office, we have no de minimis. When we see that it's either spend money or raise the revenue, whether it's a nickel or 10 million bucks, we don't make a value judgment on de minimis. We received a couple, I think maybe this week, that may be slightly de minimis. That's some people's opinions, but from ours, we do not make value judgments on what that number or hurdle is.
Okay, so thank you, Senate Secretary.
Thank you.
So the motion is not to amend the bill, but to move it as introduced favorably. Guess what? We have the vice clerk is going to call the roll.
Ooh, nice. Why is that?
He was out of practice and he wanted to do it.
Okay. So we have to obey him since he's.
Senator Norris.
Yes. What am I voting on?
This is the doula bill.
Senator Watts.
What did we do to it?
We are just accepting it as introduced, which didn't have the appropriation.
Thank you.
Senator Burris,
Yes, with explanation.
Senator Lyons.
Yes, with explanation, same thing.
Yes.
I don't need to
Senator
explain.
Westman, yes. Senator Pershing.
Yes, and I will report it.
Okay.
Or I guess Lions could also, but
No, you can
are you
report
doing
it. That's good, you can report it. It's good to have somebody else undo our good work.
Senator Zulik is doing the full report, isn't he?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and for purposes of explanation,
I did not want to doula, and I got into a fight with my wife about it, but I support doulas for other people.
okay, that's good clarification. That is good clarification. Yes, Senator Lyon.
Now, I support the amendment as proposed by Health and Welfare, but it's important to have this go forward appropriately given where we are sitting right now. Yeah.
Okay. We are now going to move away from doulas into the humanities. So Christopher, you want to come up to the witness chair?
It's my area.
I would argue the doulas are part of the humanities.
Isn't everybody?
We are all part of the humanities. Senator Bruce, it's nice to see an English professor stepping up into leadership at UVM.
Like you saw, the incoming president is also English.
Yes,
Oh, really?
yes. I'm excited to meet her. I come bearing books because that's what I do.
Great. I've heard about this.
Pass this around. I know I have very limited time, so thank you very much. And for folks who have not met me before, and for the record, my name is Christopher Coffin-Milstrip. I'm the executive director. Thank you. For Not Humanities, we are the state affiliate of the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Library of Congress. That puts us in a very interesting position in the current situation that we find ourselves in Washington, D.C. So we're thankful for the state's longstanding support for the work that we do. We are a relatively small organization. We're about the same size as the Vermont Arts Council, and we met with them earlier in the year. We're their sister organization for the two federal endowments. I would like to also just note that the Vermont State Library is also a sister organization through their affiliation with the Institute for Museum and Library Services, which was dissolved in an executive order on Friday night. So I just want to point that out for you, that you may want to be talking to the state librarian.
We have at the library, is that the BA, or that was for the FY26? So maybe there's a change.
So maybe there's a change coming. I think they don't know yet. It's about the shells versus the mays in the statutory language, creating an Institute for Museum and Library Services, as I expect it will be for NEA and NEH down the road. So we are requesting a 3% increase in our base appropriation in line with the governor's recommendation. I will also just note that that does not, of course, cover our increased costs. And just one example of that is that for our small organization, 9 people, our healthcare costs are going up from about $110,000 to $160,000 next year. So this is a big problem for small businesses and nonprofits around the state. I know you're aware of that. I hope that at some point you'll be able to work on that. I did send in a letter and our budget, so you can see a little bit more about what we've been doing over the last year. But I'm going to focus today on just telling you a little bit about Gather and our grant making program. So we have been significantly growing our individual grants program for project grants, rapid response grants, and partnership grants over the last several years. When I started 7 years ago, we granted out about $50,000 a year. This past year, about $500,000, so 10 times higher over the last 6 years for grants in all 14 counties, all across the state, in every single district. We're very proud of that. I want to make sure that you all know that our support for local communities is strong and high. We also make grants to about 23 libraries around the state who are part of our Vermont Early Literacy Initiative. They receive professional development training from our team and a grant to help increase their collections or their programming for youth literacy programs. Those are mostly in small rural libraries around the state, ones that typically don't have very much in the way of staff. Maybe they have one full-time staff person or two full-time staff person. It's not the big libraries like Fletcher Free or Kellogg Hubbard here in Montpelier. Finally, I wanted to just talk a little bit about Gather. If you don't know about this book yet, this is a highly nationally acclaimed book. It was a finalist for the National Book Award. It won the Kirkus Prize for Young Adult Literature a couple months back. It's also a Michael Prince Honor Book. And it is the first novel by the principal of Oxbow High School. And took him 20 years to write it. We're very honored to be able to be working with this book. We have given away so far 7,000 copies all over the state. Ken has committed again to visiting all 14 counties as part of the work, and we're working now in 120 different communities that are doing projects based around the work. So almost half of Vermont has had the opportunity to read the book so far. Overall, in 2024, before we started working with this book, last year we served about 70,000 people in Vermont. So about 10% of the state interacted with one of our programs in one way or the other. I'm going to leave some time for questions. The last thing I want to point out is I'll hand out these folders. We have been partnering with a number of state agencies over the course of the last couple of years. Corrections, the Attorney General's office, and perhaps most importantly, the Secretary of State's office, where we were their partner on producing the Civic Health Index. And there's a copy, the hard copy of this in here for you. As well as the Freedom and Unity Democracy comic book that's been out now for a couple of years, and you may have seen it already. I know there's copies out there for distribution to people who are coming to visit the State House. So I'll pass these around as well, and I'll leave the rest of my time for any questions that you might have about our work.
Your general fund appropriation is with the 3% is 318, and all the rest of the money is federal funds or philanthropic funds.
We get about $870,000 a year from the federal government, so that's about 42% of our budget right now, which is down significantly from what it was a few years ago. We were at a much higher extent. And so we're proud that we've been able to raise more money and lower that. But it is still about 42%. And I would say under the current circumstances, that's probably at risk.
Yeah.
And we would have to become much smaller without it. The rest of the budget, the $2.2 million for 2025, is made up of that $320,000 state appropriation. Thank you. And privately raised funds for the rest. About 600 Vermonters are now contributing to keep us going every year.
And your endowment, was that created with philanthropic funds?
Endowment was entirely created with philanthropic dollars over many, many years, dating back to the 1970s. We are 51 years old this year. Last year was 50.
Remember. How many people do work there?
We have 13 full and part-time staffers. 9 of those are full and 4 of them are part-time. We also work with hundreds of scholars who present our programs around the state.
I've done that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't have any other further questions. I'm familiar with the work. And yeah, you can pass around those. Any other questions? Okay.
I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I have heard about them.
Yeah, me too.
The book is powerful. We're reading it now with a lot of the correctional facilities.
Wow.
And I think it's pretty life-changing for them because they can really see themselves in that book.
Wonderful.
And we're hearing that over and over again, that the hero, Ian, whose mom is struggling with addiction, is trying to keep his family together, is really, really relevant for many, many people in
I
Vermont.
think it's probably relevant for everyone, you know, whether you see it from the inside or the outside, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been great to work with Writers for Recovery on this project. They've been a really great partner.
That's S36.
Okay, well, thanks.
Everybody get one?
I think everybody got one. Yeah, we give one to Senator Watson there.
Yeah, one here, so,
What's that blue there? Oh, that was,
that's, the
Veterans Home.
DNA.
EDH, Vermont Medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, and if you can help us solve our health insurance problem,
Yes,
that would be great.
yeah. Jenny's on it.
All done, we're on it, we're on it. We've got good leadership on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were gonna just move right into the Edgerton General. Are there somebody in the hallway too? No.
Great.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Really looking forward to meeting you, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems interesting. Although, last name, Trump.
I noticed, but it's not spelled.
And I would imagine she accentuates a different
Every about 3
pronunciation.
I Googled her and learned a little bit.
My daughter will
Where
do
she's
it.
from.
Yeah.
Seems like a tough situation.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Is it harder?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming to the committee.
Thank you.
Presenting the budget and maybe a little bit how things are going with the guard and everything, so.
You bet.
We'll let you introduce yourself for the record and anybody you have with you.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Brigadier General Henry Harder. I go by Hank, and I'm the Deputy Adjutant General for the Vermont National Guard, representing Major General Knight today. I've got our Director of Finance, Kim Fideli, with me as well, to give you more granular detail on our budget as required. So thank you for the opportunity. I know we're a little behind. How much time do we have?
I shifted OCFYA to 2:30.
Who is OCF?
Office of Child, Family, and Health.
Matthew Bernstein.
Okay.
And I shifted to 2:30 to 2:45.
Okay, so till 2:30 is the answer. Okay, yeah. So,
Okay, great. Well, thank you again. I'll give you just a little overview of how we're doing in the Guard, and then Ms. Fideli can go into kind of the wave tests of the budget and then any questions you may have. So the current state of your Guard is strong. First, talk about the Air Guard. We've got over 300 airmen deployed across the globe right now. The largest piece is about 275 airmen that are with our F-35s in Japan, and they are doing a scheduled theater security package that goes into Kadena Air Base in Japan. And they've been there since just after the new year. They're participating with allies and partners and practicing interoperability and training in that region. They just got finished earlier last month with an exercise called COPE North, where they forward deployed smaller groups of F-35s and airmen to Guam to show our ability to spread our forces out in the theater. And they were working with allies like Australia, Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. And they're currently, a portion of our forces are also doing an exercise in South Korea. And once again, working through interoperability. And they're doing well. And the wing commander from the unit in Burlington is visiting them now. And all reports his morale is high. And they're due to come back next month. In addition,
in Okinawa or is
they're on the island of Okinawa, yeah, Kadena Air Base, yeah. And in addition to that, we have about 66 of our airmen deployed on what's called a Reserve Component Period 5. And that's a 6-month deployment. They left in the October timeframe, and most of them should be coming back by April as well. And they're spread across the CENTCOM area of responsibility, and AFRICOM and into Yukon in Europe. And they are primarily the non-aviation, non-maintenance specialties. So they're doing like things like security, administration, services, and they're doing a fantastic job. But there's smaller groups that deploy for a longer period of time.
How common is it to have this many deployed?
I mean,
Is
this
it pretty
is,
regular to get
yeah, well,
deployed?
this is a lot for us at one period, and it's kind of two separate deployments. That group of 66 that goes out in small batches, and then the aviation package, which is the F-35 package together. So this is having over 300 airmen deployed for us at one time is a significant number. Our total numbers are 1,100 in the Guard, and that comprises of both our traditional guardsmen, our part-timers, and our full-timers as well.
Okay.
On this past October, we celebrated 5 years with the F-35 Lightning II aircraft, the first Air National Guard unit to get the aircraft. And the VTANG, your VTANG, is setting the standard for the Air National Guard with operations of the F-35s.
Is it the only one that has that?
No, a couple of more units have come online since then. So we've helped the Wisconsin Air National Guard out of Madison come up through their conversion to the F-35. The Alabama Air National Guard out of Danley Field in Alabama. And then the next ones are just starting to get their jets is Jacksonville, Florida. But then closer to New England in the next couple of years, the Massachusetts Air National Guard will be replacing their F-15s with F-35s, and we will certainly help them with our corporate knowledge as well. And then I want to talk a little bit about the state partnership program. We've had very successful state partnerships with the countries of North Macedonia since 1993, Senegal since 2008, and Austria since 2022. Vermont Air National Guard personnel in F-35s participated in Air Power 2024 last summer. So that was a joint exercise with Austria and Switzerland. And then while we were there, we were able to stay and there's the Air Power Air Show. It's the biggest air show in Europe, was held in Austria. So our F-35s and pilots were able to be there, showcasing the partnership with Austria and the Vermont Air National Guard. And there was well over 300,000 attendees to that air show. Something we regularly do with the Army Guard and the Air Guard is called the medical readiness exercise, and that's in Senegal. And that's when about 30 to 40 of our providers, so doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, physicians assistants, go to integrate with Senegalese doctors and in their clinics and see patients. So we did that again this year and had a great deployment and basically sharing best practices with the Senegalese medical folks. And we had one of our urgent care, David Jones, that works at UVM as an obstetrician. He helped deliver some high-risk babies there, and actually one of our nurse practitioners intervened and helped a baby with a breathing problem. So really high impact and high reward for both our people and our Senegalese partners. Shifting over to the Army Guard. The Army Guard is going to be participating in something called Immediate Response 25 this summer. And that's with our North Macedonia partners and the country of Greece. It's a NATO exercise, and it will take place over May and a little bit of June, and it'll be exercising how NATO partners can come together and deploy quickly. So that will be a big lift for our Army folks. Close to 1,000 Army soldiers will be going over there for about 2 to 3 weeks to Europe and then returning. I just wanted to also highlight some of our domestic response, which is near and dear to the governor and to all of you. Obviously, the Guard has been heavily involved in flood response through the 2023 and 2024 floods. We were able to deploy our light medium tactical vehicles to help with swift water rescue teams. So the big advantage that they were able to do is bring the swift water rescue teams closer to the areas where people needed rescuing, and it saved time for those teams that both from Vermont and that came in from out of state. We were able to also deploy liaison teams to different towns that were affected by the flooding and help their emergency managers figure out what they might need from the State Emergency Management Center and just help with cooperation because some of our folks have robust skills in emergency management. So some of our smaller towns where your town manager may also be the emergency manager. And then obviously we helped out with COVID-19 for 2 years. Had upwards of 100 soldiers and airmen helping out with testing kits, inoculations, and then a lot of help with the strategic national stockpile with the state health department with the warehouse and helping them get PPE and testing kits to where they needed them. And so they have a small state staff there, so we were able to bring soldiers and airmen that had that expertise coming to the fray and help with the COVID-19 response. Some of our challenge areas that you've probably heard, but we still are having challenges recruiting. And we're down probably 100, mostly traditional guardsmen, part-timers on the Air Guard side, about 600 to 650 on the Army Guard side.
How many aren't they all part-time?
I'm sorry?
How many are part-time? I assume they're.
Yeah, of our force of the 1,100 Air Guard, about 2/3 are part-time, and same thing with the Army. You know, if they were fully manned, they would be at about 2,300, and they're now, you know, down to 1,900. So, and then same thing with the Army Guard. About 2/3 of our force are traditional guardsmen, part-timers, and then a third full-time. Yeah. And you know, we've made strides in our recruiting. Our retention is very good. So once we have folks that join us, they typically want to stay. But it's getting them into the Guard. Obviously, we have a low population base here, and you know, we sometimes have challenges with the propensity to serve. Some of the good news stories we have is we have the JEEP program, which the state supports us in, and that's called the Joint Enlistment Enhancement Program. And what that does is, if somebody is able to, either one of our service members or a family member, get somebody to come and talk with our recruiters, and if they end up swearing in, we're able to take $1,000 of state money to give to that person that gave us the lead, that bolster our ranks with another.
Anybody can do that?
Really, anybody in the Guard. So anybody. So it's open to serving guardsmen and women and retirees. But that's been a very successful program, and the state has supported with us with that. General Knight heard that they were doing that in some other states, Alabama included, and brought that to Vermont. It's been very successful.
Yeah.
We also have something called the PRIME program, which is the Partnered Recruiting Initiative for Military Employers. So obviously we have a workforce development challenge in Vermont. So we're partnering with businesses like Husky, Global Foundries, where if one of our soldiers or airmen meets the application requirements, they will guarantee an interview with those businesses that are joining that. So trying to boost recruiting both for businesses, small and large in Vermont, and fill our own ranks. And then the Vermont National Guard tuition program has been a huge help for our recruiting. If you go to page 6 for a breakdown, but in general, every year we've used a little bit more of the $1.3 million that is a portion for that entitlement. This last year's numbers, the actual usage dollar-wise went down just a small amount, but our numbers of airmen and soldiers using it stayed the same or went up. And they were just going to some cheaper colleges like CCV and BTSU. So that's why the actual amount went down. But it's been very key for bringing in new people to the Guard. I just met with a bunch of airmen from our medical group the last drill weekend, and I had 5 young faces in front of me, and I say, well, where are you from and why did you join? And to a person, they said, we joined for the tuition benefit. So it's been great. So in all, your Guard is healthy. We want and need more people. We've had great support from the governor and the legislature in that regime. One thing that General Knight and I wanted to talk about is there was a couple of bills that we were hoping that would also help with workforce development. That was the exemption of state income tax on military retirements. And as I understand, those didn't get out of committee, but we would ask for your support on that going forward, because we view it as a way to bring young soldiers and airmen back to Vermont. For example, if somebody gets out of the active duty at, they go in at age 18, they come out at age 38, they've got a whole other career or two ahead of them. So if we make that Vermont attractive, they bring their families here and are able to benefit for their military retirement not being taxed, but then get another job that they would paid. Without further ado, I'll bring up Ms. Fidelli to see, unless you've got questions for me, to talk a little bit about our budget.
Let's see you investing in your biathlon. When I studied abroad, I met in Sweden, I lived with some people on their biathlon team. I learned a lot about biathlon.
Oh, yes, and we're very proud of our athletes in our biathlon program. And one of our soldiers is the top female biathlete.
Is this out at, in Jericho?
It is in Jericho, yes. Yes, ma'am.
One of my dear friends was on the Olympic team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been
Yeah,
a big point of pride, and actually Major General Knight is on the USA Biathlon board, so he gets to sit on that board. He's able to actually go to Austria and see
I love it when they come, they rented my Airbnb 3 times.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great sport.
It is a good.
Okay, so yeah, most of your funding is coming from the Fed. The general fund basically just allows you to.
Yes, sir, and things like that, the Jeep program and some of our state matches that we have for some of our state military department workers, which are civilians that work for us in the Guard, but are maybe they're traditional guardsmen, but they're state employees. We have about 165 of those, so paying allowances for those folks primarily, and then support for some of our construction projects and upkeep in our buildings.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you want to provide any.
Yeah, Kim can give you a little
testimony
overview.
Anything that you think that you want to highlight that's unusual or a big jump or anything like that?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Kim Fidelli, I'm Finance Director for the Military Department. We don't have any major changes for our budget this year. Our total general fund request is about $7 million. And as mentioned, that's mainly to provide match towards our cooperative agreements. The total funding from NGB can range somewhere between 40 million and 70 million in the fiscal year. A lot of it depends on the major military construction projects that we have going on. Currently, we have 11 major MILCON projects, all in design at the moment. They are listed on page 9 if you are interested in what those projects are. Over the next several years, we're expecting somewhere between $30 and $60 million worth of military construction dollars to come into the state. All of those projects that are in the queue at the moment are 100% federally funded, which is fantastic. We are working towards building a new readiness center up in the Swanton area. In the next couple of years, we're hoping to get design funds for that.
What is a readiness center?
I'm sorry?
What is a readiness center?
Like an armory. It would replace the St. Albans and Swanton armories that are up there currently. Both very outdated. I think St. Albans is roughly 1912,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
All right, and wasn't there we buy or sell one of those
We
buildings?
did, so we were able to sell the Waterbury Armory,
Okay,
actually, that was during the housing crisis, so the state actually took over that, but we basically get fair market value for those older armories. That's like a 1958, 59 armory that the unit had moved on to a different location.
Okay.
and that allowed us to purchase a plot a 40-acre plot up in Swanton last year. So essentially our budget is to support items like joint enlistment enhancement program for recruiting purposes, the tuition benefit program, and also to maintain all of these armories and the square footage that we have. Many of our facilities are very old. They take a lot of work to maintain and keep up to date, keep the heat running, keep the boilers going. So we're doing everything we can. We're utilizing these state dollars to the best of our ability to then receive federal, as match to receive federal dollars to keep these buildings up to date, and to provide new buildings and training facilities when we can. The majority of the increase to our budget this year, our increase is about $300,000. The majority of that is pay and benefits. Unfortunately, we took a big hit on that one. There's not much we can do about it. So we're trying to find as much savings elsewhere as we can. And again, just utilizing what general fund we have to get the most federal, match, from those programs. Just use it as
Kind of like the
efficiently as possible.
transportation fund. Trying to draw down those federal dollars as much as we can.
Yes, exactly. It's become a bit challenging this year, more than most, with a continuing resolution going throughout the full year.
Right,
So we're doing our best to prioritize our dollars towards, number one is payroll. Next priority is utilities, keeping our facilities running. And then of course doing what we
It's
can with
been easier
what's
time
left.
making the match.
Yeah. I was glad to see the energy use reports. I appreciate that.
Sure, yes.
Detail and the effort to try to conserve. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. We did just convert many of the facilities up at the Ethan Allen firing range from old propane boilers. We recently put natural gas in about 20 of those facilities. So that should hopefully help us keep our energy costs lower. So that's definitely a priority for the Guard.
And you guys have a big solar array near the Guard's hangars, right?
We do, yes. There is one at the Air Guard. There is another solar array. I think it's in Westminster. A good portion of our energy bills are paid through that as well. So, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
Oh, good.
No? Thank you for your work and service.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. An honor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, likewise.
You'll need a copy of this one.
We have next is. Are they over here?
I'm not sure if they're outside, but I told them 2:45.
Oh, right, so we can go on break.